The Pillars of Peace. The Galactic Concord chamber shimmered with pale blue light as Ambassador Elena Voss stood at the central podium, Earth's flag projected behind her. Thousands of delegates from over 100 species observed in silence, some with scaled faces, others with photosynthetic skin, crystalline eyes, or pulsing translator nodules. But all of them listened. Peace is not a gift, Elena said, voice steady. It is a responsibility, one we've carried with pride for 2 centuries. For 200 years, humanity had been the backbone of the Concord's peacekeeping efforts. While other species wielded ancient fleets and rigid hierarchies, humans excelled at empathy, compromise, and innovation. Earth's mediators ended the brutal Rim rebellions. Their scientists had developed the multi-species immunostabilizer that saved the Lurvaxi from extinction. No race had given more to peace than mankind. Yet now, Elena felt the rot beneath the surface. In the last 3 months, human colonies had suffered 13 pirate attacks, far more than statistical models predicted. Trade sanctions hit Earth harder than any other world, citing economic balance without explanation. The media on Veltraxis, the Concord capital, painted humans as expansionist and manipulative. It was subtle, but coordinated. Behind closed doors, her aides whispered of data leaks, forged transmissions, and an increasing number of abstentions whenever Earth proposed aid or reform. She paused her speech and scanned the chamber. The Zyrethi Dominion seats were filled with delegates in silver armor, eyes glowing softly, always watching. The Krelans blinked slowly, emotionless. The Thalaxans, once Earth's allies, now looked away. "We will not retreat from our duty," she continued. "But know this, justice delayed is not peace maintained. It is peace betrayed." A few clapped. The Valen envoy tapped his claws together in silent support. But too many remained still, watching, calculating. After the session, Elena returned to her quarters overlooking the shining spires of Veltraxis. The planet was a marvel, designed to reflect harmony. But tonight, its beauty felt artificial. Her aide, Commander Malik Rhodes, entered silently. "We intercepted another communique. Encrypted, but the signature matches Zyrethi diplomatic traffic." "What does it say?" "We're still decrypting, but it's about Earth and fleet movements." Elena stared out the window. "They're preparing something. Then we go public." She shook her head. "Not yet. If we accuse without proof, we become the aggressors. That's exactly what they want. But if we wait, we'll know soon." She interrupted, her voice barely a whisper. That night, Earth's ambassador didn't sleep. She watched old vids from home. New York skyline, a sunset over the Alps, children laughing in 0G on the Mars orbital station. She had given her life to peace. So had millions of humans across the stars. And something in her heart, something quiet but unshakable, told her they would be the ones to pay for it. The fire that fell on Earth. The stars over Earth shimmered with their usual serenity, cold, silent, distant. And then they moved. At first, it seemed like a meteor shower, streaks of light flashing across the skies of Earth, Mars, Proxima 3, and the orbital colonies. But within seconds, they became something far worse. Orbital defense grids screamed to life. Alerts blared from control centers buried beneath the Rockies and the Martian crust. Automated countermeasures deployed, but it was too late. The first impact struck Geneva, once the home of the Interstellar Peace Accords. A tungsten rod, dropped from orbit, slammed into the city at 10 times the speed of sound. The Earth shook. The Alps cracked. Fires swept across continents. In the following minutes, more rods followed, targets selected with chilling precision. London, New Shanghai, Atlanta's platform in the Pacific. Earth's planetary shield arrays, inactive during peacetime, were targeted and neutralized before they could deploy. The attackers bore Galactic Concord transponder signatures. On Proxima 3, a young girl named Ayla watched from her school shuttle as her colony dome cracked like glass and vanished in a fire. On Mars, Admiral Nyla Chung, stationed aboard the orbital defense station Scipio, could only stare in disbelief as the attack tore through military and civilian facilities alike. Billions died within the first hour. Back on Veltraxis, Ambassador Elena Voss stormed into the Concord Council chamber. "Earth is under attack," she shouted, her voice hoarse. "Who authorized this? Who gave Concord ships the order to fire on civilians?" Counselors murmured. Some seemed shocked, others suspiciously calm. High Consul Varin of the Zyrethi Dominion raised a hand. "Ambassador Voss, there must be a mistake. We have no active operations in Seoul. Perhaps a rogue AI faction? Human dissidents? Our defense grid tracked the ships. Concord transponders. Zyrethi-built weapon platforms. Precision orbital strikes. This wasn't rogue anything. It was coordinated genocide. An emergency investigation was launched. Hours dragged into days. Elena watched as the council argued, stalled, and offered condolences without action. Then came the proof. Her aide, Malik, burst into her quarters late into the night. "We cracked the communique." Elena read the decrypted message in silence. Operation Glassseed, authorized by Zyrethi leadership, supported covertly by a triune of council species. Purpose: neutralize humanity's influence in Concord affairs by triggering a forced retreat and destabilization. "We warn them," she whispered. "They feared us, not for our weapons, but for our ideas." The next morning, Elena returned to the chamber one last time. She wore black, not diplomatic robes, mourning garb. "I stand not as your ambassador," she said, voice hard, "but as the voice of the dead." She transmitted the communique to every screen in the chamber. "You used peace as a shield for cowardice. You let fear outweigh justice. You let the guilty walk free because their fleets frightened you." She stepped down. "I resign, and I warn you, peace is over. You didn't just attack Earth. You awakened something you thought extinct." As she walked out, the chamber remained in stunned silence. But far above, in orbit, hidden human ships began to move. The rise of the Phoenix fleets. In the silent void beyond Neptune's orbit, a series of massive black structures began to hum. Cloaked for over a century, the Phoenix vaults came to life. Long-forgotten satellites blinked online. Automated drones scurried like ants across kilometers of hull plating, awakening warships that hadn't seen light since Earth joined the Galactic Concord. From the ashes of betrayal, humanity's vengeance stirred. Admiral Nyla Chung stood aboard the UNS Revenant, flagship of Earth's classified Phoenix fleet. She'd once been a skeptic of war, a strategist who believed deterrence kept peace. But after watching the skies over Mars rain fire, something inside her shifted. "Status?" she asked, her voice sharp. "All systems green. Fleet-wide activation at 82%. AI battlenet synced. Ghost Fleet is operational," her second-in-command reported. "Good. Set course for Zyrethi border space. Operation Ash Veil begins now." Across the galaxy, the Concord still fumbled over inquiries and political gymnastics. But humanity moved with precision. The Phoenix Protocol, a secret doctrine drafted generations ago in case of betrayal, had been activated. No speeches, no declarations, just action. The UNS Revenant vanished into slip space. 3 days later, the Zyrethi outer world of Relaker blinked out of existence. Human stealth cruisers slipped past orbital sensors, deploying whisper torpedoes, weapons that phased through shields and detonated within planetary cores. There was no warning. One moment Relaker's sky was clear, the next, the ground cracked open in molten lines and the capital city sank into flame. Above the destruction, a human transmission played across every frequency. "You attacked civilians. You shattered peace. Now, humanity answers, not with words, but with justice. We're the fire you lit, and we will not be extinguished." The galaxy reeled. The Concord demanded answers, but humanity remained silent. No diplomats, no apologies, only wreckage. More attacks followed. Human fleets struck with terrifying precision, dismantling orbital stations, disabling shipyards, and crippling trade routes of those involved in Earth's betrayal. But they spared the innocent. Civilian convoys were left untouched. Evacuation shuttles were given safe corridors. It wasn't war. It was surgical retribution. And humanity wasn't alone. The Valens, a species long ignored and subjugated within the Concord, offered support. So did the Creek and the Amari, species who had seen Earth's kindness and now rallied to its fury. "Your fall is not just ours to avenge," said the Valen High Speaker to Admiral Chung. "You stood for us when no one else did. Now we stand with you." By the end of the week, 37 Concord military outposts had gone dark. The Phoenix fleet expanded rapidly, integrating alien engineers, hybrid AI, and black box tech once considered too dangerous for peacetime. In the war room aboard the Revenant, Admiral Chung watched holograms of conquered territories. "This isn't revenge," she said, almost to herself. "This is a reckoning. They thought peace made us soft." She turned to her officers. "Let's show them what peace kept locked away." The battle for the Concord throne. Veltraxis, the jewel of the Galactic Concord, had never seen war. Its shimmering towers, endless gardens, and gravity-woven skylanes were built on 2 centuries of cooperation and compromise. But now, above its blue-white clouds, human warships emerged from slipspace like silent gods of vengeance. The Phoenix fleet, reinforced with allied Valen dreadnoughts and Amari stealth carriers, surrounded the Concord capital with mathematical precision. Admiral Nyla Chung stood on the bridge of the UNS Revenant, watching the enemy's panicked response unfold. "Enemy fleet composition?" she asked. "Concord forces deploying, 7 fleets, roughly 600 ships. Mostly outdated formations, mixed designs. No unified command." She nodded. "Begin broadcast." Across the system, every screen and comm channel flickered to life. Ambassador Elena Voss appeared, standing aboard a human cruiser just beyond Veltraxis orbit. Her once kind eyes were now hardened steel. "We are no longer part of your Concord. You let Earth burn. You let truth die in silence. Now we are here for justice." The broadcast cut. Seconds later, the battle began. Concord's ships scrambled, disorganized, colliding as they attempted to form lines. But humanity's AI-driven battlenets moved as one mind. The Phoenix fleet danced through enemy fire, wielding plasma lances and kinetic rounds with lethal efficiency. No wasted shots. No mercy for warships that had once worn Concord insignias while launching genocide. Veltraxis trembled as orbital platforms fell, raining debris into its protective shields. Civilians screamed, not because humanity struck them, but because the illusion of safety was gone. The Zyrethi 9th Armada tried to flank. They never reached firing range. The UNS Revenant and her escorts vaporized them in a coordinated barrage. On the council floor below, chaos reigned. Some species demanded immediate surrender. Others screamed for retaliation. The High Consul of the Zyrethi drew a sidearm and tried to declare martial law. He was tackled by a Creelan ambassador, one of Earth's few remaining allies. Then came the shock. Half the Concord delegates stood and walked out, their species no longer willing to serve a council that had abandoned justice. By the hour's end, Concord's navy was shattered. Veltraxis itself was spared, but surrounded. Back in orbit, Elena Voss sent one final message. "We do not conquer. We do not enslave. But we do not forget. Those responsible will answer for what they've done. This is not annihilation. It is accountability." The next week, a new accord was formed, built on hard lessons and sealed in truth. The Zyrethi leaders were tried by a coalition of species, not just humans. The Concord, as it had existed, was no more. Humanity did not seize power. They earned it, through loss, through restraint, and through unbreakable resolve. On a rebuilt Earth, beneath a black monument carved with billions of names, a child asked his teacher, "Why do we remember the day peace ended?" The answer came, firm and quiet. Because that's the day humanity stopped trusting words and taught the stars what justice really means.